What's going on YouTube? So as the subcompact crossover class has expanded, brands have raced to enter the segment.
And Chevy is one of those brands with not only one, but two offerings in this segment. And we spent the last 7 days with this refreshed 2024 Chevy Trailblazer.
So as one of their brand's most affordable models, is this Trailblazer the best pick in the subcompact crossover segment? Let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let's start off this review with our spec dump. Now, under the hood of the Trailblazer, you're going to find your option of two different, very tiny displacement engines. You either have a 1.2 liter turbo 3-cylinder or a 1.3 liter turbo 3-cylinder. We have the latter option, and that's going to be making 155 horsepower, 174 pound-feet of torque.
Depending on your choices, you either have a CVT or a 9-speed automatic. You have the option between front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and the fuel economy as tested today is sitting at 27 miles a gallon combined, but we will be talking about our real-world fuel economy over the last 7 days in the test drive section.
Right, and while we're doing that test drive, we're going to show you the performance. We're also going to get things like our signature sound level reading. But I'm sure you want to see the refreshed exterior design, so let's go ahead and get into that. All right, so let's get into those exterior updates. Now, just like with any refresh, you're going to see some slight updates to the overall look of the front end, but thankfully Chevy didn't mess with it a ton because I've always thought this Trailblazer was a pretty handsome vehicle. In terms of the different trims, each one's going to have its own unique styling characteristics. This is the active trim level. On this model, we're going to have some smoked chrome running across the center here, a black bow tie emblem, and then a black mesh with more of the little smoked chrome accents running throughout. If you get the RS trim level, it's going to have a little bit of a sportier look to it. Now, the headlights have also been updated for 2024, and thankfully, Chevy is now including LED headlights as standard equipment on all trim levels. If you choose at least the LT trim level, though, you'll get the premium projector LED headlights you see here. You also have the separated LED turn signal indicator and daytime running light up top. Now, as we walk around to the rear design of the Trailblazer, it continues to have mostly the same, handsome design language, but there are a couple of details that have changed for 2024.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and dive into those details that make the overall handsome look. Really, that's going to be your taillight. That's why Drew's hopping inside, because here at Car Confections, we like to see if all the elements are LED. So with our taillights, we have an LED brake light, LED turn signal indicator, and we also have LED accenting. However, our reverse light is going to be incandescent. So 2 out of 3 elements are LED for this new taillight design for 2024. I do like the way it looks, and it is worth noting that the LED taillights come on active and RS trims only. If you go for the lower end models, they will make more of the elements incandescent. Now, as we drop down to this lower area, we do have a unique finish for this active trim level. It's kind of a copper looking chrome. And then we do also have integrated trapezoidal exhaust outlets, which I really like. Additionally, as far as the tow rating is concerned, you can tow up to 1,000 pounds with an optional package, which is pretty rare for this segment. Most of them don't allow towing at all.
Now, as we move on to our wheels, these have also been updated for 2024. All trim levels, besides for the RS, will come with 17-inch alloy wheels, including this active trim level. As you can see, we have a nice contrast finish for these. We have kind of a thicker-looking tire on board, and Chevy did say that for the active trim, they did slightly tune the suspension a little bit different for a little bit more of an off-road tune, although this is not a rugged vehicle by any stretch of the imagination. And I do also want to mention that the RS's wheels have been upgraded to 19 inches for 2024, which is 1 inch larger than last year. Now, I also want to talk about the color. This is a new color this year. This is called Cacti Green. I think in the building price, it looks pretty polarizing, but here in person, I actually kind of like it. It's a pretty nice shade, especially when you pair it with the active trim, which is going to get you white accents. I'll let Mason talk about that a little bit more in a second. But in terms of our mirrors, we are going to have heating. We also have blind spot monitoring via the driver confidence package, which is optional on all trims.
Now here at the side of the Trailblazer, the overall length is coming in at 173.5 inches long. And if you're curious as to how that actually fits in with the Chevy Trax, which is within Chevy's own lineup, the Chevy Trax is going to be a little bit longer than this vehicle, but a little bit lower. This is going to have that more boxy, traditional SUV shape for those of you wondering. Now, as far as some of the design elements that we have on this Trailblazer, we have a lot of really cool design elements going on. As Drew mentioned a little bit earlier, we do have actually a two-tone roof option. We have a white roof, which is on the active trim level. If you want a black roof, you can get that on the RS trim level. So you have two different roof color options, which is pretty rare for this segment of vehicle, and I really like that Chevy is spicing up the design that way. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, I also like what Chevy is doing because they're including 3 out of your 4 active safety features as standard equipment on every single Trailblazer model. Additionally, if you go for an LT trim or above, you will have the option of adding on adaptive cruise control. But guys, that's it for the refreshed exterior design. Let's check out the refreshed interior because there's a lot of tech enhancements. But first, 2023 is coming to a close, and it's about time for those New Year resolutions to kick in.
We, like a lot of you guys, want to spend less and save more, which is why we want to share with you a really cool cashback app called Upside. They've partnered with over 25,000 gas stations and 30,000 other businesses so that you can save money each time you use the app. The process is super simple. All you have to do is claim the offer in the app, choose a credit or debit card, and proceed to purchase as normal.
We use Upside to buy premium gas for the BMW, and we recently saved 50 cents a gallon, which adds up to be a lot of money over the thousands of miles we drive. This is real cash back, so you can cash out anytime you want, straight into your bank account, PayPal, or through gift cards, which you could give to your loved ones this holiday season.
Or if you'd rather treat yourself, you can take all those savings and use them for some new tires after you conducted a few too many 0 to 60 tests. To get started, download the free Upside app. Use our promo code CARCONFECTIONS and get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. A link is provided in the video description for you to take advantage of that great offer.
If you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and check out that interior. First, we'll take a quick look at the key fob. This is Chevy's typical key fob design. You will have a smart entry system as well as remote start built into the fob on all but the base LS trim level. And to get inside, you're just going to press the little silver button and that will unlock the door. Now, take a look inside at the interior. You'll probably notice right away that there are some big tech improvements. As promised, we will be talking about those in just a second, but let's first talk about those material and color selections. So if you choose the active or the RS trim levels, those are going to upgrade you from the standard cloth seats to the leatherette seats. So as you can see, this is going to be a jet black seat, but depending on which trim you get, that will change the accenting. We have yellow accenting, and we also have these kind of cloth inserts on the side. It's a very stylish two-tone look, and you even have active up there in the headrest itself. As far as the seats themselves, they're going to be 10-way power adjusting on all but the base model. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that I've climbed inside, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. So over here on our door trim, we do have a slightly padded kind of plastic material through here. The center section is going to be finished in that cloth from the seat with the yellow stitching. Top part of the door trim will be hard touch, and we have a little accent right through there. All of the upper part of this is going to be hard touch as well, but as we move to the lower panels, these are going to be finished in a leatherette, again with the stitching detail running throughout. But let's go ahead and fire it up with the newly standard push button start. Now that it's fired up, let's zero in on the first big tech upgrade for 2024, and that's this right here. We have a 8-inch digital gauge cluster that's now going to be included standard on every single model, replacing the previous analog setup. As you can see, nice, large, high-resolution screen, and that's pretty impressive for a vehicle in this segment. Now as we pull back to the steering wheel, top models will have the nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. It actually will be flat-bottomed if you choose the RS trim level. The wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping, and then we do also have steering wheel heating, which is an available option on RS and active trims. Now, let's turn over here to our center console storage. Here at Car Confections, we like to do a thing called the donut test, and we see how many donuts we can fit in the center console, because this is our emblem. And in this case, we've been able to fit 9 in this center console. So even though it's quite narrow, it really goes down a good distance. Up in front of that, you have another nice and large storage cubby, your 2 cup holders, and then you have a large spot right there, which was used as a wireless phone charging pad on your top trims as well. And then taking a look at our shifter, we remain with a traditional style shifter, so nothing complicated here. Just pull back for drive. You have little toggles on the side here if you want to control your shift manually, but there is no paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Going up to the backup camera, this has been upgraded for 2024, so this is actually going to be an HD resolution screen now on all of the models, even the base one, and we do have active trajectory. If you want parking sensors, you can get those. Those are going to be packaged with the blind spot monitoring I mentioned earlier on all trim levels. And then back behind that, we have our electronic parking brake. Now, as we rise up the dashboard, next place we come to our climate controls. We have a single zone automatic climate setup. Nice and easy to adjust because we have big knobs. Also in this area, you'll find your 3-stage heated seats. These are included on your RS and active trim levels. But let's not wait any longer. Let's go ahead and talk about this display. So previously you had 7 and 8-inch displays offered, but now Chevy has replaced them all with this 11-inch display. That is honestly a huge display for a vehicle in this segment. And not only is the size very nice, but it also has good performance as you go through some of the pages. You have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay ability as well. So you'll always be able to connect to your navigation and see the things on your phone. Now also in this area, you'll probably notice that we have a volume knob. There's going to be 4 and 6 speaker sound systems to choose from, as well as an upgraded Bose sound system to select. We actually do have the upgraded Bose sound system. I'd love to give you guys a sample, but I'm having a little bit of a tech problem where my phone is disconnected from the system. But the rest of the week, it has been flawless in terms of that connection until just now. That's how filming usually goes. Now, as we come above here, we do have an auto-dimming mirror on the top models. And we have another very premium feature for a subcompact. We have a panoramic sunroof. Chevy does offer this on the LT trim level and above.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about this Trailblazer's rear seat, because this is honestly a very impressive part about this vehicle. So I want to go ahead and hit the space first, because typically for a small subcompact SUV like this, that's the weak point, but not really with the Trailblazer. We're sitting at 39.4 inches of legroom, 38.4 inches of headroom. That really makes this one of the largest options in the entire segment. It's even larger than the Kia Seltos, so really a good amount of space. It's larger than the Trax as well. I also did bring our ruler so we can measure how much knee space there is, and we're sitting at about 7 inches of knee space. My feet can also slide up underneath the seat, and I'm 5'9" for reference, and the seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". Now, as far as features are concerned, let's dive into that. Here in the center, we do not have any vents or anything. However, we do have a little storage cubby down below there. We also have a household style outlet. That's also a very rare feature to have in this segment. We have 2 USB ports as well, a USB-C and a USB-A. We have a fold-down center armrest, and these seats, I will say, are relatively comfortable overall. They do not recline, though, so keep that in mind, and they're not going to be heated on any version. Now, as far as the door trim is concerned, hard-touch plastic on the vast majority of the door trim, including the armrest portion. However, we do have some bottle storage in the very bottom. Now, walking up to the tailgate of the Trailblazer, we do actually have a hands-free power tailgate, which is an option, but it's honestly very rare to even have that as an available feature in this segment. We have a illuminated Chevy logo down here. You can kind of see it a little bit, but you just kick right there, and that's second time's the charm. That's where you kick for the tailgate. Now, as far as this area is concerned, we're going to have a lot of space. About 25 cubic feet behind the second row seats. If we fold those seats down, it's going to be about 54 cubic feet of maximum cargo capacity. As far as how that compares to the rivals, that is going to be one of the largest offerings in the segment, and it is right in line with what you're going to get in the Chevy Trax. Now, I do want to point out a few different features in this cargo area because there's some innovative ones. So if we lift up the cargo floor, we do have a spare tire underneath. We also have a little storage on the sides, but that's not what's cool. I'll get out my tape measure here because we fold all the seats down here at Car Confections so we can get those measures for you. Now, we went ahead and folded the seats down. They do fold 60-40 split folding, and you can just kind of reach up there and fold it down from the cargo area. But I'm up here at the passenger seat because the Trailblazer has a really cool feature. You can actually fold this seat completely down flat. So that means that you can fit objects up to 8.5 feet long in this Trailblazer. So I don't know if you're hauling lumber in the Trailblazer, you will be able to fit it in this. Surprisingly so, because this passenger seat goes all the way down. I really like that feature. It's pretty innovative. I have not seen that on very many of this vehicle's rivals, that's for sure. And you didn't think I would leave you hanging. This is the measurement from the driver's seat to the rear of the cargo area. If you can't fold those seats down, 66 inches in overall length. And as far as the overall width of this, we are sitting at 40 inches wide. Yeah, 40 inches wide. If you're curious, we actually did do this over the last 7 days that we've been driving this vehicle. It does not fit a 65-inch flat screen TV sideways. Those real-world tips are what matters in a car review. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed 2024 Chevy Trailblazer. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our signature sound level reading. But first, let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, and we've hit 60 miles an hour with the Trailblazer 1.3 liter. Now, like we mentioned at the spec dump, there's a couple different engines that you can get with this Trailblazer. It's either a 1.2 or a 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. Yep. And depending on which one you choose is going to make a pretty decent difference in terms of the power. This version with the 1.3 is going to have 155 horsepower, 174 pound-feet of torque. And those are healthy numbers for this segment. This segment ranges, usually from like extremely slow to just regular slow, but this is pretty good, especially the torque figure. Yeah. You can definitely feel that kind of pushes you back in your seat as you get off the line.
Yeah, 174, I think, is one of the healthiest in the segment. And I definitely appreciate that. Every time we get behind the wheel of this 3-cylinder, you hear it on paper and you're like, that sounds like it's going to be awfully slow. But when you get behind the wheel, I think everyone is really impressed with it. And over the past 7 days, honestly, that's been everyone's reaction to what we've had, or when we've had them along for a ride. They're like, okay, that's actually not a bad powertrain, that's for sure. So I think you're going to be impressed with the overall power setup that you're going to get, especially if you choose the 1.3 liter. Now, if you choose the 1.2 liter, you will have less horsepower, 137 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque, but really not huge differences between the 1.2 and the 1.3 liter. But the 1.2 will be standard on the LS and LT trim levels, and if you choose the higher end trim levels like the Active and RS, you'll get the 1.3.
Now, there's some more differences with your powertrain as well, because you also have two different transmissions. So when you have an all-wheel drive equipped model, you're going to get a 9-speed automatic transmission. That's what we have today, and this transmission is pretty good. It's nice and responsive. As soon as you put your foot down, it gives you more power. We haven't had any problems with this transmission this week. It's certainly been a nice, smooth partner to this. And I think for a lot of you guys will be a good upgrade over the continuously variable transmission that's in the standard engine.
I also think this engine has a decent noise to it. It doesn't really sound strained as you would think a 3-cylinder would, that's for sure. Now, I do also want to just talk about our ride quality now that we're on a straight stretch of road here. As far as this is concerned, we do have really good ride quality in this Trailblazer. We've been living with it for the past 7 days, and honestly, I've been very much impressed with it. The seats are very comfortable. It does a good job of soaking up the bumps. Now, one thing worth noting is that if you choose the RS, you will have larger wheels than what we have on this example right here, so I imagine that might have slightly worse ride quality, but overall, I think the ride is very good in this Trailblazer.
Yeah, this is a great combo with the 17-inch alloy wheels.
And now we're going to go ahead and speed up to get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour on our designated strip of highway. We already have our fan speed on 1. 56.6 is our official Car Confections sound level reading, which that is a very solid reading for this segment of vehicle, but I don't have to sit around here and guess because we can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we've actually posted all the cars that we've reviewed on our channel, and we can compare and see how it is to some of those other subcompacts. Very good. So as far as how that compares, that does place it actually as number 3 in the segment. So a very good sound level reading. It actually is a little bit quieter than the 2021 Chevy Trailblazer that we tested out last. So maybe Chevy has added a little bit of additional sound insulation in for this 2024 refreshed model. Now, I do also want to go ahead and dive into fuel economy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read off the EPA ratings first, and then we'll get into our real-world fuel economy for the past week that we've had the vehicle. As far as the EPA ratings, we're going to be sitting at 26, 29, 27 miles a gallon combined with this setup right here, the 1.3-liter all-wheel drive. Now, you can also get better fuel economy if you choose a 1.2 or 1.3-liter with front-wheel drive. It's either 30 or 31 mpg. Now, as far as our real-world fuel economy, though, we've been driving this vehicle for the past 7 days, and doing city driving, so not highway driving, we're sitting at an average of 30.1 miles per gallon, which I think is very impressive. This is a very efficient powertrain, we've come to find out. And actually, when we reset it, when they brought the vehicle down, we always reset it so we get our specific fuel economy. And it said the highway figure was sitting at 38 miles a gallon combined. So I think you're going to be very impressed with the real-world performance of this powertrain's fuel economy.
I click this into sport mode. We'll see if it feels any different behind the wheel. Yeah, basically the sport mode just kind of makes the throttle response a little bit, more responsive.
You wouldn't expect much difference in this segment.
I mean, that's how it goes. But overall, I think, behind the wheel, the driving dynamics of this Trailblazer is pretty good. The body control is pretty nice. I also really appreciate that the steering is not, doesn't have a big dead spot right in the center like a lot of the rivals. When you turn off center, you get an immediate response because this is a pretty fast responding steering setup, as you can see.
Yeah. And let's go ahead and get into our slam dunk and air ball. Our favorite element, our least favorite element. Drew, do you want to kick us off with the slam dunk for this 2024 Trailblazer?
Yeah, I think I would just quite simply say the 2024 improvements. I think they added some things that you really wouldn't even expect to have in the subcompact segment and at this price point, specifically in the terms of technology being standard on all trim levels and also having the availability of some premium features like that pano sunroof.
Yeah. And as far as the air ball is concerned, it is going to be related to the price. Now, we haven't told you the official price yet, but we're sitting around $35,000 for a fully loaded up ACTIV like what we have today. And while that is, not uncommonly expensive in the segment, it is, one of the top end options. The thing that we don't quite understand is that the Trax is a lot less expensive. If you get a fully loaded up Trax, you're sitting at well under the $30,000 price point. So when you compare this Trailblazer to a Trax, it's going to be quite a bit more different than you would think, about $5,000 or more, equivalently optioned up. Now, granted, you cannot get all-wheel drive with the Trax, so that's something worth noting. And of course, you do have a little bit of a different engine setup. But overall, I think a lot of the elements are very similar. So for those of you who are wanting an even better deal, I would suggest looking at the Trax instead.
Yeah, in certain ways, the Trax is the Trailblazer's own greatest competitor.
Yeah. And as far as warranty is concerned, wrapping things up, we do have a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty, and Chevy does include the first maintenance visit as complimentary. And let's talk pricing for this 2024 refreshed Trailblazer. Now, as far as this is concerned, we're starting at $23,100 for the base model. As we move up the trim structure, of course, it gets more expensive. The Active is going to start at $27,100, and the RS is going to be the same price. You just kind of pick what flavor of the Trailblazer you like better. Now, as far as this particular model, we do have all the options plus all-wheel drive. We're sitting at $34,570 as tested today, which I think is a pretty fair price, but it is pushing the upper limit for this segment. Now, if you're looking to buy a Chevy Trailblazer or any new vehicle, and you want to get the best price, we recommend you go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, on our website, we have a tool that will connect you with those local dealers to get you the best price, as well as access to invoice pricing information. Now, that's a great tool for dealer negotiation, so you'll want to check out the link in our video description. And guys, that's where we're going to leave off on this in-depth review of the 2024 Chevy Trailblazer. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're joining in on this Car Confections family, and we make a lot of car reviews that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on. And we also have a lot of fun on this channel, so please do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button down below. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.